It's truly staggering how many people go missing in this country one way or another, whether something just goes wrong, whether some sick sack of garbage does something to them or something else happened. The numbers are truly crazy to really comprehend and take in. Pay attention to all the different stuff on the screen in this video. You'll see some stats about missing persons popping up. And how about that stat about Alaska, one of the most desolate states, but the numbers are through the roof. I think the number one for missing people averaged out, like per capita, if you will. I think typically when it comes to missing persons, crime stats and stuff like that, they average it out per capita. I wonder why that is exactly. That seems to happen the most in Alaska. Maybe that's something to dive into in another video. But in this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about a missing persons case that had been going on for a decade, since 2015 in Florida. The Sunshine State has come to a close. And that blew my mind because I actually moved to Florida in 2014. And just last year, I was like, wow, man, that was 10 years ago. I'm not there anymore. But, just the timelines matching up and, going off that time in my own life to think of someone being missing all that time. And now to find out officially via the news that it was because the person was no longer here. Their life ceased to exist on that day. And the way that this was all figured out was through the work of a private sonar search company, which, if y'all remember a little while back, a big platform here in the YouTube space that was a sonar search company was that now disgraced Adventures with Purpose. And I can't believe, I dove into it in another video, but it didn't really get no traction, man. That sack of garbage got let off with a break. And today there was the news being discussed, as with the Diddy case recently, you know what I mean? He got sentenced a little over 4 years, and some evil demon who was a wolf in sheep's clothing, who was out here violating the youth, using his position within the church to do so, truly a demon posing as some kind of good church person, got a 10-year sentence for crimes against the youth going all the way back to the 80s. This is Robert Morris we're talking about, of Robert Morris Ministries in Oklahoma. And they gave this piece of ish 6 months behind the wall and 9.5 years probation. Can you believe that?
Right here at 4 o'clock, we've got breaking news. Robert Morris, the founding pastor of Gateway Church in Southlake, as you see, being led away here in handcuffs, headed to jail after pleading guilty in his Oklahoma child sex abuse criminal case.
Morris was charged with lewd or indecent acts with a child.
Our Andrea Lucia was inside the courtroom today in Oklahoma. Andrea, can you bring us up to speed right now?
This is stunning. Robert Morris, the founder of one of our country's largest churches, has been sentenced to 10 years. The first 6 months he will serve behind bars here in Osage County. The remaining 9.5 years will likely be served as probation. We have been covering this criminal case since March, when Morris was indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child for molesting a young girl here in Oklahoma.
Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. Morris appeared in an Oklahoma courtroom this afternoon to enter his guilty plea on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child, all stemming from incidents dating back to the 1980s.
That's absolutely stomach churning in the most disgusting of ways. And the prosecutor, attorney general or whatever, actually had the nerve to speak to the news, talking this up like, oh, justice prevailed. There's zero tolerance on this kind of evil behavior. And the motherfucker got a slap on the wrist, 6 months. Absolutely makes me sick, man. May this motherfucker die and burn in hell. I always talk about these evil demons, how they walk among us. Be on point. They're out there. Don't fall victim. And do your best to keep your family, friends, and loved ones from falling victim to these evil demons. And if you know someone who's evil, don't stay quiet. get it out there to the right channels and authorities and such. And this is just, I want to get back to this missing persons thing, but I'm just so sick of this. I've seen over the years a lot of these demons getting these sweet deals, and it's absolutely just ludicrous. And then the prosecutor to be talking about justice was served. You're in bed with the demon at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they were paid off or something. I just don't get it. But like I said, I've seen it in other situations that weren't rich and powerful individuals. I just can't quite understand, and this case has been highlighted more because of the Diddy case, and it's just don't add up. Jump into the comments and share all your thoughts on it all. Make sure to subscribe, guys, and stay tuned for more crime and true crime content. But I want to get back into this story, what we're talking about. I was referencing that demon from Adventures with Purpose getting a break, which is wrong. And that companies went on and I believe assumed a different name and such. And they washed their hands of dealing with that piece of garbage. But other companies like that popped up, like this one we're talking about here, Sunshine State Sonar. They were incorporated in 2021, which they're in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I believe they came after Adventures with Purpose. So, like that was a company that did a lot of good work. They just didn't seem to know they had a demon among them. Unless any of y'all feel out there that someone knew about this guy, but from my understanding, they didn't. But their work seemed to inspire a lot of other people to get into doing this work. And it's truly mind-blowing, like we're talking about missing person stats. The fact that so many people who go missing end up in lakes and rivers and stuff like that. And you'll see different reactions to this. People who lived right around where this dude was found in this pond or lake, football-sized field. Like, man, he was just right there all this time, just waiting to be found for a decade. And some people who live there were saying that, like, there's no rails, and they've seen multiple cars end up in that pond. And when I worked at a college in Florida, it was kind of shocking to find out that prior to me working there, they pulled up a car that was in a pond there as well. And I think there was someone who was missing in that vehicle as well. But you see the reports here. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department said in a news release that the remains and vehicle of Stephen McCrell were found in a lake in Boca Raton on Thursday. McCrell was last seen alive at a Valero gas station in the city of Pompano Beach, July 30th, 2015. He was also seen in Fort Lauderdale earlier that day. And again, this went on for a decade, and they reference here the Sunshine State Sonar, a private sonar search company, discovered McCrell's vehicle submerged in a lake at 900 Peninsula Corporate Circle. The company notified the Boca Raton Police Department, which recovered the vehicle and located skeletal remains inside. They turned the remains over to the authority, and dental records were what, were used to identify this guy. And you see a lot of people like, man, it's good that the family now has closure, but how did this happen? What is the theory, and how exactly did this private sonar search company figure out to look in that lake? And they said they basically just retraced his steps and went by process of elimination, that they felt that he never had left the area and he had to be there. And lo and behold, they found him there. Now, how exactly did he end up in that pond? No one knows for sure, but they're saying that there's this theory out there, and it seems to have legs, this working theory, that there's some kind of discussion, and I don't know where exactly this comes from, if there's witnesses or word just circulated around or what, that he got into some kind of confrontation at the gas station where he was trying to get up out of Dodge and get away, and swerved and ended up in this pond and lost his life, man, which is heartbreaking and just a lesson to be learned. If it's the police chasing you, if it's beef, just be safe. You know what I mean? People do a lot of road rage situations, especially in Florida as well. I saw it when I lived there. Just when it comes to auto injuries and crashes and things like that. It's crazy in Florida. I've never been able to figure out exactly why that is. I lived in a county in Florida where I had a family member who got hurt very badly on the brink of death in a vehicle, an accident. And when that happened, it was in December of 1 year, right? From the next year, starting the new year kicking in, this was going into 2017. There was like a fatality related death on a roadway for like almost a month straight, at least one. It is truly crazy and just heartbreaking to hear. And people, like, we got to do better being safe. I'm not trying to just shit on Florida as a whole, but it's just something about there. I don't know if it's a lot of people migrating there and the way people drive from different places clashing in a way that creates a lot of accidents and a lot of road rage situations, but it's just not worth it, man. Like, drive safe. If the police are chasing you, it ain't worth losing your life over, or killing a police officer. I just saw on a reality TV show, Ozark Law. Tapping anyone out there if you've seen that show. Some dickhead was out drag racing. That's another thing that goes on in Florida, goes on everywhere. And when the police tried to pull the guy over, he burnt it, got in a high-speed chase, and one of the police officers, a sweet woman with 6 kids, crashed and DIE'd. You know what I mean? So be safe. Like, nothing is truly worth it, putting your life and the lives of others at risk. But RIP to Mr. McCrell. You know, it's a good thing that his chapter has come to a close. Once again, the family has some answers, some closure, maybe about exactly how it happened. If this theory can be proved or not, that we'll have to wait and see. As I was saying, that's just a theory that people are debating on. I don't know exactly where that came from, but Sunshine Sonar specifically stated that they believe that that could be the case, that there is some legs when it comes to this theory. So anyone out there, you know, you have a missing family member, don't give up. If you feel this happened to you, one of your family members, that maybe they're in a body of water, try and see what you can do to speak to one of these sonar companies if there's one in your area, or maybe if they're not, you can reach out to other ones via social media and such. That's one thing about this blogosphere, the way information travels these days with social network, YouTube, TikTok, all these platforms. You can reach out to people, you can get your story out there. You know what I mean? Like Adventures with Purpose, once again, they did a lot of good work, but they got a bad name because of that evil demon. Again, everyone stay demon free out here. But they changed the game with that, and these sonar companies are everywhere. So don't give up. Prayers out to all. Be safe. And that's the end of this story here. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Crime Time Podcast, and I will get with you guys on the next one.